Hey, Hockey Nuts. Time for a college hockey update. Today is Saturday, the 17th, and all of the championship games of the respective conferences have just ended. So let's take a look and see where we are, what has transpired, because there's been some big things happen in the college hockey world. Tons of upsets. So let's get right into it. First and foremost, we got to get over to our screen that has all of our conference tournaments. There we are. All right. So in the Hockey East Conference, we have where we left off. We had completed the quarterfinal games, setting up the Final Four. So the Final Four in Hockey East taking place at the Boston Garden this past weekend. Boston College was taking on Boston University. Providence College taking on Northeastern. Both of these games did not disappoint. In fact, the first game started at 5, and then the second game started about an hour after the first game ended. Well, the first game went to overtime. BU beat BC 4-3 in overtime to advance to the semifinal game, or to the championship game, I'm sorry. And then the second game got started probably like around 9 o'clock, 9:30, something like that. And that was Providence taking on Northeastern. And that game, too, went to overtime. And Providence came away with the 3-2 overtime win in that one. So Providence advanced to this championship game. They take on BU. And in that game, which actually just completed earlier tonight, Boston University comes away with the 2-0 win. It was a scoreless game till late in the game. And then BU went up. I can't remember exactly when they scored their first goal. And then they added the second. I think their first goal was in the third period. And then they added the second goal as an empty netter to seal the win. So Boston University, the number 4 seed, moves on. And if we take a look at the teams that advance and all the scenarios out of Hockey East, as it turns out, Northeastern and Providence are both getting in the NCAA tournament no matter what, because they're both highly ranked. Northeastern is 7th ranked, Providence 9th. But both BU and Boston College were on the bubble. So this game here, not only do the two schools hate each other, Boston College and BU, Boston University, the winner of that game, their season is still alive, and the loser, their season is done. So obvious dejection on the bench at Boston College when they lost that game. BU, everybody was elated. And then the same thing in the championship game. BU basically had to win out in order to keep their season going, and they, in fact, do so. So Boston University, a surprise team coming out of Hockey East, getting the first automatic bid to the NCAA tournament. All right, let's look at the ECAC. The Final Four set up was Cornell versus Princeton and Clarkson versus Harvard. Clarkson advances past Harvard 5-4 in overtime in a thrilling game, and they advance to the championship game, and Harvard's season ends with that loss. They would have needed to win the ECAC tournament in order to advance to the NCAAs. Clarkson should make it no matter what, because they are 10th ranked in the country. Princeton and Cornell played each other in the other semifinal game, and that one, Princeton won that one going away 4-1. And so the surprise team in ECAC, the 7th seed Princeton, advances on. So they not only ended Union's season, but they knock out Cornell, although Cornell should get a spot in the NCAA tournament. But we'll take a look at that a little bit later. So the championship game in ECAC ends up being Princeton versus Clarkson, and then that game went to overtime, and Princeton comes away with the win. Again, Princeton would have been knocked out. Their season would have ended with a loss tonight, and they surprise everybody, and the 7th seed Princeton Tigers end up winning the ECAC championship and getting the automatic bid for the ECAC. But Clarkson and Cornell should also get bids as well in the at-large portion. All right, moving on to Atlantic Hockey. This is a conference where they, no matter what, they were only going to put one team in the NCAA tournament, and it was going to be the tournament champion. And in this case, Mercyhurst and Robert Morris played in the semifinal, with Robert Morris coming away with the overtime win in that one. And then Air Force played Canisius. Air Force wins that game 3-0. And then in the championship game, Air Force wins over Robert Morris 5-1. So Air Force is basically rolling over everybody all of a sudden in Atlantic hockey, and they come away with the conference championship and the automatic bid to the NCAA tournament. Everybody else, their season is over. All right, Big Ten. Their semifinal series actually happened last weekend, and this weekend the only thing that was left to do was the championship game, and that game just ended just before I hit the record button, and Notre Dame comes away with the 3-2 overtime win over Ohio State. So Notre Dame gets the at-large bid. Ohio State will also get a bid to the NCAA tournament, an at-large bid, thanks to their number 6 ranking. Michigan should also get in. Penn State should also get in. Again, we'll take a look at that in a bit. And Notre Dame obviously wins the conference tournament and the automatic bid, with Ohio State coming in second. All right, NCHC. Final four setup was St. Cloud State versus North Dakota, and Minnesota Duluth taking on Denver. Denver comes away with the 3-1 win in the semifinal match down here, and then in the semifinal match up here, St. Cloud State comes away with a 3-2 overtime win against North Dakota, leaving North Dakota sitting firmly on the bubble and having to sweat it out to find out whether or not they will get an at-large bid to the NCAA tournament. And with North Dakota, a lot's going to depend on what's going on in the other conferences. So as far as North Dakota is concerned, the best hopes that they have getting in the NCAA tournament would be higher seeded teams winning the conferences. So more upsets puts them more in danger. But as far as the championship game goes, St. Cloud State and Denver played. Denver comes away with the convincing 4-1 win in that one. So Denver wins the NCHC. They advance on to the NCAAs. St. Cloud State will also get an at-large bid. That's pretty much guaranteed, being the number 1 team in the country. And North Dakota's sweating it out. Minnesota Duluth should also get an at-large bid. They're the number 8 team in the country. At least they were going into this tournament. And North Dakota is sitting at 14th. So the question is, will they get in? All right, let's move on to WCHA. All right, semifinals in that one, Minnesota State versus Michigan Tech. Michigan Tech, and this was last weekend, won the semifinal series, moving on to the championship game. And then Bowling Green and Northern Michigan played in the other semifinal series, and Northern Michigan comes away with a 2-1 series win in that one, and they advance to the championship game. So Bowling Green's season is done, and Minnesota State, being the number 3 team in the country, should get an at-large bid no matter what. So Michigan Tech, though, has to advance to keep their season alive, as does Northern Michigan, being the number 19 team in the country. So this championship game setup was basically an elimination game at the NCAA level anyway, with the winner getting a bid in the tournament, the automatic bid, and the loser getting their season coming to a close. So with that in mind, this game took place earlier today, and Michigan Tech beat Northern Michigan 2-0. So Michigan Tech, the number 5 seed in the WCHA, comes out with the tournament win and the automatic bid, and this team has been red hot of late. All right. So let's take a look at the pairwise after these games, or actually the pairwise actually hasn't been adjusted, including these games. These are the pairwise rankings going into this weekend. So a lot of these teams are idle because they got eliminated from their conference tournaments already. But anyway, let's take a look. So by my calculations, I took basically the top 30 pairwise teams. I marked in bold the teams that won their conference tournaments. Those 6 teams will get automatic bids to the NCAA tournament. 16 teams get in the tournament, which means basically, in a nutshell, with four big upsets happening in the college hockey world, with BU, Princeton, Michigan Tech, and Air Force all winning their conference tournaments, but all four teams sitting outside the top 14 of the pairwise, that bumps some teams out of the NCAA tournament. So essentially what ends up happening is only the top 12 in the pairwise get into the tournament. So you're going to have St. Cloud State, Notre Dame, Cornell, Ohio State, Denver, Minnesota State, Providence, Michigan, Northeastern, Clarkson, Penn State, Minnesota Duluth, all getting at-large bids, although Denver and Notre Dame get the automatics, but they would have gotten at-large bids anyway. And the upset teams, Boston University, Princeton, Michigan Tech, and Air Force, win their conference tournaments, get in, despite having if they would have lost their championship games, they would have been knocked out of the tournament. So with these four getting in, which teams are the ones that are knocked out? And I have the list of those teams here. This is in ranking order of the pairwise rankings. So number 13, Minnesota, booted. 14, North Dakota. They're the second team out. Number 16, Boston College, third team out. And number 17, Bowling Green, fourth team out. So chances are 17 through 29, essentially, would have been out no matter what, even with the if the conference tournaments would have been won by 5 of the 6 conference tournaments have at least one team in the top 16 of the pairwise. So with the one conference that doesn't, being the Atlantic Conference. So that conference aside, that means 15 teams had a chance of getting an at-large bid going into the weekend. So my guessing is Boston College all the way down through, those guys would have been out unless they won their conference tournament anyway. So really only 2 teams got bumped due to the upsets, and that's Minnesota and North Dakota. 2 perennial powerhouses. Actually, all 3, really. Minnesota, North Dakota, Boston College. 3 big surprises, teams that got knocked out of the tournament. So this is my prediction for the 16-team field right here. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and see what I think. This isn't an official bracket. This is what I think the bracket will look like. And I wanted to put this out there so we will see how close I am, because I figured might as well take a shot at it. I think I got the 16 teams right that are going to get in, unless the tournament committee decides to allow Minnesota or North Dakota in anyway. But if you're going to allow Minnesota or North Dakota in, that means you got to take somebody out. You got to take either Penn State or Minnesota Duluth out, or Clarkson. So that would be a big deal if one of these, if Clarkson, Penn State, or Minnesota Duluth get knocked out to make room for Minnesota or North Dakota. That's going to be a huge surprise to everybody in the college hockey world. So the 16-team field looks like this. This is my prediction on what the NCAA field will look like. In the East Regional, we're going to have number 1 Cornell versus number 4 Michigan Tech, number 2 Minnesota State, number 3 Clarkson. In the Northeast Regional, we're going to have Ohio State versus Minnesota Duluth, and Denver against Boston University. In the Midwest Regional, we're going to have Notre Dame versus Princeton, Providence College versus Penn State. And then in the West Regional, we're going to have St. Cloud State versus Air Force and Michigan Northeastern. All right? That's just a complete guess. I think I got the 16 teams that are in. As far as who plays who, we won't find out until Sunday, the 18th. And until then, we're just going to have to speculate. So let me know in the comments below what you think the tournament field is going to be. Let me know if you think there should be teams that are knocked or that are that I have on the outside that should get in, and teams that I have on the inside that should be knocked out. Let me know what you think on that. And until the next one, we will catch you then. Talk to you later.